Yes. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you from wherever you're tuning in to watch another important discussion being held by the South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum. We welcome you all. The title of our topic for this discussion is South Sudanese Women in Leadership and Decision Making Roles, Performance, and Barriers. Our panelists are Honorable Rebecca Joshua Okwachi. And I'm going to go ahead and read a brief biography about her. So, Honorable Rebecca Joshua Okwachi is a distinguished leader in the Republic of South Sudan who has contributed to the country and has held key positions within the government. From 2016 to 2019, Honorable Rebecca Joshua was the National Minister of Roads and Bridges in the Transitional Government of National Unity. In this capacity, she was keen on developing the transportation infrastructure with a special focus on improving the road networks in the country. Honorable Rebecca Joshua was also the National Minister of Telecommunication and Postal Service, a position she held from 2013 to 2016. She strongly believes in the information communication technology, which is abbreviated ICT sector, and its capacity to act as a change agent. Thus, she has advocated for women and youth empowerment to embrace the ICT sector in order to improve their lives and that of the community. Under her leadership, and for the first time in the Republic of South Sudan, we voted at the International Telecommunication Union and also participated at the International Telecommunication Union Telecom World 2013 conference with a pavilion to showcase our country. Honorable Rebecca Joshua has also held the position of the National Deputy Minister of General Education and Infrastructure and was the Undersecretary for National Ministry of Labor, Public Service, and the Human Resource Development. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Literature, Linguistics, and Translation from Alexandria University in Egypt, and a master's degree in Information Communication Technology and Development Communications from Daystar University in Kenya. Then we have our next panelist, Honorable Mary Ayen Majok. Honorable Mary Ayen Majok is currently the chairperson for Committee on Decentralized Governance and States Affairs in the Council of States. She was the chairperson for the Gender, Peace, and Conciliation Committee in the same institution. Honorable Mary Ayen is a member of the National Legislature Women Parliamentary Caucus, where she serves as the Deputy and Acting Secretary General for the caucus. She is also a member of the African Parliamentarians Network Development Evaluation. In 2011, prior to being appointed to the Council of States, Honorable Mary Ayen served the government of Sudan as an officer in the Ministry of Animal Resources and Fisheries. Professionally, she is a teacher and worked as a lecturer assistant at the University of Juba in the College of Education. Honorable Mary Ayen empowers women and aspiring young female leaders as a facilitator at the National Transformational Leadership Institute, which is a national institute based at the University of Juba. The National Transformational Leadership Institute provides trainings on leadership, peace building, conflict resolution, women economic empowerment, gender-based violence, trauma healing, and psychosocial support. Principally, Honorable Mary Ayen is a hardworking, self-motivated, and active community mobilizer and an advocate for gender equality. She mentors and coaches young females at her home and across the Republic of South Sudan. We are also honored to have among our panelists Honorable Angela Achiro Onario. Honorable Angela Achiro Onario is a medical statistics professional who worked as a social worker in the capacity of a child protection officer in the Ministry of Social Development. She received her training in health nutrition education at Afad University in Khartoum, Sudan. Honorable Onario extended her career by attending the Women Leadership Training training at Peace and Security Institute in Uganda. While in Uganda, she worked as a child protection officer at the Al-Ray Abduction Center. Currently, Honorable Onario is a member of parliament representing women at the Magui County of Eastern Equatoria. Prior to that, from 2010 to 2019, she was the chairwoman of Education and Social Development in the parliament. And I am your host, Eunice Malath. I am a registered nurse by profession, a media specialist, and your moderator for this discussion. During the discussion, we encourage you to interact with the panelists, provide your feedback, and also feel free to ask questions. Now, in introduction to this topic, and of course our topic for this day is South Sudanese women in leadership and decision-making, roles, performances, and barriers. The Beijing Platform for Action called the governments to ensure women's equal access to full participation in power structures and decision-making. It also called the governments to increase women's capacity to participate in decision-making and leadership, and that representatives of groups with specific interests and perspectives should participate directly in decision-making processes and leadership to ensure that both the agenda of issues to be considered and decisions subsequently made incorporate their views. Undoubtedly, women and men have different needs, interests, and priorities arising from their specific roles and situations. Even when men are aware of and seek to represent their differences, they lack information. In the same way that mainstream decision makers are able to capture the perspective and needs of women. This failure to incorporate women's concerns in decision making represents a major loss for society as a whole. Women's needs, interests, and concerns are not just those of women themselves, but reflect their primary role as mothers, wives, and caregivers. Therefore, incorporating a woman's perspective in decision-making should result in better decisions that more adequately reflect the needs and interests of children and families, including the male members. Women's equal participation in decision-making and political life is vital for the advancement of women. Women remain in a position of inequality compared with men, partly because their situation, needs, and concerns are not even considered in current decision-making. They do not even reach the mainstream agenda. The advancement of women demands that women participate actively in setting the agenda and determining issues on which decisions are to be made. When women enter the parliament in significant numbers, issues such as childcare, violence against women, and violation of unpaid labor can easily be considered by policymakers. As a result, promoting family-friendly employment policies include work-based childcare. Greater gender equality in leadership and decision-making reduces poverty, improves economic circumstances at household and national levels. It can support more inclusive economic, health, and education policies, enhance social safety nets, and more inclusive service provision. Enhanced representation of women in all levels of decision-making can raise awareness, influence political agendas to respond to the needs of all, and support more gender-responsive legal frameworks. South Sudan has a 35% quota system to increase the number of women in leadership and decision-making at all levels. However, it is important to women to take up leadership positions as a result of the 35% affirmative action, but also most importantly, as competent and qualified citizens of the Republic of South Sudan. This is all the way to enhance women participation in decision-making in different sectors of the Republic of South Sudan. So this is directed to you, Honorable Rebecca Joshua. Around the world, women are far less likely than men to be seen in the media. This gender imbalanced picture of society can reinforce and perpetuate harmful gender stereotypes. Women's involvement in information and communication technologies and media networks, including electronic networks, are a means of strengthening women's role in democratic processes. Women have an equal right to participate in public debate, including in the media, and offer insights and ideas that must be heard. Everyone deserves to live free from the burden of harmful gender stereotypes. The media shapes our world, but so do women, as powerful agents of change in all areas of society, and it is time for the media to reflect this reality. The media, and particularly electronic media, play a crucial role in shaping and promoting women's interests and attitudes. The way the media portrays women, how they deal with issues of special concern to women, and whether they convey effectual messages can have a major impact on women's participation in leadership and decision making. So the first question to you, Honorable Rebecca Joshua, is actually it's a full-fold question. Many people argue that the women in leadership and decision-making positions are in power without having power. Do you agree with this statement? What is your take on that?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Eunice. You with me?
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me first appreciate this opportunity and also say that this very topic that we are handling is a very, very important topic. And I want to appreciate the participants to also give their views. But just to go right into the topic, the statement you give is that women are in power without power. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First, what is power? Power is the knowledge, the abilities, the strength, the opportunity you have to carry on or carry out an activity and then also impact on people. So this to me sounds a general question, but I believe you want to focus on South Sudan. Is that true?
Yes.
If it's true, then the women in South Sudan have the power. Why? Because if we go down a list, which I don't want to go into now, you may know better than the public, that as much as the level of education in South Sudan has not reached a satisfactory level, but I believe there are women in South Sudan who are learned, who are educated, who have gone to school in various parts of the world, and they have the knowledge that is required. The other thing is the practical part of it, because when you have knowledge, then you have to put it in practice. And it means then being able to use the knowledge you have, not only the bookish, as we say, knowledge, but what you can use as an experience to impact others. The women of South Sudan do have that, although they still seek more in terms of education, but they are there and they have to. Now, with regards to areas of operationalizing the power, you may talk about the government, you may talk about institutions, parastatals, you may talk about women in the civil society, because also you need that power to use it within the civil society, and in private sector. So it encompasses all. If I very quickly move on just very quick examples, the women of South Sudan are known from the time of liberation that they contributed very highly to the liberation movement. That by itself was power, and they were able, together with the men, to carry this country across. Today, we are an independent South Sudan. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the women who were in the liberation movement at the front line. Many of them are outside there, including those who have gone to the Lord or those who went into martyrdom. The same thing with the women when the country has been liberated. They have also managed to get the percentage, and the percentage also goes back during the time of the liberation. If women didn't have power during the liberation, they wouldn't have gone as far as going for the 25% affirmative action, which was listened to by our leadership by then, and it was implemented. And we managed as women to enshrine it in the Constitution. So this by itself, for me, is power. Power exercised with results and with impacts, as I said at the beginning. Today, as the government is on, you have women in all levels of leadership. Not only that, the 25% affirmative action remains, but it has even gone as far as 35%. It didn't just come. It has to be worked for. And I'm shaking my head because it happens during our lifetime, and we are the people who practice that and people who are implementing it. Challenges are there, yes, though, but still reaching that percentage, even the world was witnessing how South Sudan was moving. The same thing in the civil society. You have strong women in the civil society who are using their power and are able to shape. It goes back to history. I don't want to go back to that, but a lot. And I'm one who has been also in the thick of it. And we managed to put peace, to put liberation, and to bring a new country. This by itself is the use of power that the women have. The civil society has worked very hard. And today, they are still very strong. And we have examples to give when time comes. Private sector, maybe this is the area where we still have to work hard, because women, it takes them time also to get that knowledge and strength and ability, and also some support for them to be able to sail in the private sector. Because you need money, you need knowledge, you need also to hustle around, especially in the private sector and in business. This is an area we still need to work hard to empower women. But maybe in a nutshell, I will not agree with the statement that women are in power without power. Actually, they are in power and they have the power and they're exercising their power. There are challenges, I will not deny, but these are challenges that can be surmounted. So I agree with the point that they have the power and they're exercising their power and they are ready to move forward with that power. But to deliver to the population, to the people, to the country, so that we can develop further. Mm-hmm. This is my take.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And indeed, South Sudanese women contributed at all levels for centuries within our country. Now, I'm going to move on to Honorable Mary Ayen. This is directed to you. Women are marginalized in decision-making and leadership by a variety of processes that begin at infancy. In most societies, women lack experience of decision-making and leadership in the public arena because girls, in contrast to boys, are socialized to play passive roles and given little opportunities to make decisions or develop leadership skills outside the family context. In most traditional societies, girls are kept largely within the confines of the household and family, where they are protected and taught to accept the decisions that others, including parents, teachers, and brothers, make on their behalf. As a result of the lack of experience in public context, girls tend to lack self-confidence and skills needed to function effectively in positions of formal leadership. An added handicap for many is their lack of capacity due to discrimination in access to education and training. In most countries, women have higher levels of illiteracy and fewer years of schooling than men. Even when women succeed in gaining education and entering the decision-making mainstream, they are often marginalized by an institution. Therefore, the first question to you, Honorable Mary Ayen, is, again, it's quite a full fold of questions here. What is your understanding of being a leader? What are the key factors to consider in decision making? Why is it important for women to be included in leadership and decision making? What happens if women are missing in leadership and decision making in family? Do you believe that the quality of a leader matters when it comes to leadership and decision making?
Yeah, Thank you so much, Eunice, and I appreciate the wonderful moderation. First of all, I want to begin appreciating the South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum. I understand that maybe many people are not aware that something also is going on. This platform is adding some very good efforts to what has been already started, as Honorable Rebecca Joshua stated earlier, that women of South Sudan has been contributing since the times of the struggle until we have our independent country to the moment. So since I've joined the platform, I'm seeing that the forum actually in terms of advocacy, uh, reaching out to the various institutions that women from South Sudan on this side also are adding something that is very strong. So thank you so much to the South Sudan Women Intellectuals Forum. I want also to greet Honorable Joshua, Honorable Angela, and Aisha from behind there, and greeting all the sisters who are following also this debate. On the question about my understanding of leadership, I think this is a very important question for me in person as a women leader who is mandated also to speak on behalf of other women who may not have the chance and opportunity to be in the post that we are. So it is very important for us also to know what are you doing exactly. And it is also connected with the first question that was thrown to Honorable Rebecca, that sometimes if it's true that women may have power without power. So if we understood the meaning of leadership and our responsibility, then I believe we will be able to perform and to do to make use of the powers that we are entrusted to. So my understanding of leadership, I think leadership is being a leader is about all the good qualities of a good leader. Understanding that it means responsibility about the constituency you are assigned to. And if we are national leaders, then we are assigned to be responsible for the whole nation. Then it means that this is a huge responsibility. It's about also influence. If you are a leader, then you are supposed to be influential, at least to make some influence where you can bring change. And this change is always supposed to be a positive change where we are able to take people from unwanted condition to a better condition. And this could be done through where we are able to influence the system. It's also leadership is about being courageous. Sometimes you may be in a situation that you may need to take rational decisions that may need you to be courageous enough sometimes to face the system that may not accept even the change itself. So you need, as a leader, you need to be courageous and to be care about the people, to put them their interests before your own and your personal interests. And it's also about knowledge. Being in leadership, you're supposed to be aware and knowledgeable about what you are doing, because without knowledge actually is also a power and a tool for you to bring the change that you desire to do. It's about confidence. If you are not confident, then I believe you will always flow with other decisions that may be contrary to what you are supposed to do. And leadership also, it's about building other leaders also. And for us, when we are growing in leadership, we need also to make sure that other leaders are coming up, and they will come up only if they are given the support by other leaders. So it's about giving support to others. It's about mentoring other young leaders. It's about coaching other leaders so they also grow. And this is where we can talk about that if as leaders also, we should make sure that we are connected to other generations, the way we can talk about this intergenerational leadership. And I think also leadership, it's about motivation, because sometimes as a leader, you may not necessarily implement all the programs that may lead to the change you want it to do. But if you are able to motivate others, then they will be convinced you are influencing them, and then together you can bring the change that you are aspiring to. And so leadership is about making rational decisions about the situation we are living in. And take an example, the issues of women's rights these days in South Sudan needs us as women, because we are scattered across political parties, or call them parties to the peace agreement right now. We may need, and definitely not may need, we need actually to think of what decisions that can make us, bring us together as women, so that we make sure that we women of South Sudan, we are positioned and we are in the right places. Then the other questions was about why is it important for women to be included in leadership. I think being part in the decision making, it's about being able to influence the system itself, and we cannot do it if you are excluded. So when you are in the system, in the decision making post, then you will be able to give your ideas, you will be able to participate in this change we want. It's about also bringing change. So it's not only issues of that we want to be there as women because of gender, but it's beyond that. It's because that if we want to, if women are there, then it's mean men, women, young people, all the people, it's mean there is diverse, and in every environment where there is diverse of idea, there is always progress, because diverse of idea means also diverse in programs. It will not be only a monologue. There will be a diverse of ideas that may lead to an enhanced environment. And having women in decision making can enhance if we are looking for change. So if having women, then this change will come quickly, because it has been proven by in most of the countries where we have women on board. For example, in parliament, it has been proven that most of the countries where women are majority in the parliament, the policies and even the budget they approve are always oriented for service delivery, because women will tend to budget for health, for water service, for things that will enhance and change the environment of their communities. So I think it is very important to have women on board, not only because of gender, but also because women issues that will be addressed are actually at the end issues of the nation. Because if we are talking about health,
Yes.
it's not only for women, but it's also for the nation. And
Yes.
if we are talking about their education, if we are to advocate that we need women to be educated, then it's not only for us as women, but it's for the whole nation. So I think that our issues are not separated from the national issues. They're just the same concerns. So the other question, what will happen if women are not there? Then definitely all the good things that I've just spoken in the previous question, why do we need women in the decision making? Then definitely the diversity in ideas and the services that they may push and advocate for definitely will not be there. So we need women to be on board, not only for men and women, but also to have a better South Sudan and to have a community that really consider all the needs of the humankind.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Maria Yen. You really raised the important points, particularly a leader is supposed to be able to be influential, and also you need to have that self-confidence in order for other people to believe in you and whatever you're trying to do. We're really honored to have Honorable Nadia Rob join us. She has other engagements that she has to go to, but we're going to go ahead and just ask her the questions if it's okay, so that she could go ahead and fulfill her other obligations. So I'm going to read a brief biography of Honorable Nadia Rob. So Honorable Nadia Robe is the National Minister of Culture, Museum, and National Heritage in the Republic of South Sudan. Honorable Nadia Robe is also the former National Minister of Culture, Youth, and Sports, and the former Deputy Minister for Animal Resources. Since 2005 up to date, she has been a Member of Parliament. Originally from Bentiu in Unity State, Honorable Nadia Robe is the chairman of the SPM Women's League in Bentiu. She has a background and experience as a civil servant, having worked as a civil servant, which led to her advancement to the position of supervisor in Unity State. This is prior to the independence of South Sudan from Sudan. Honorable Nadia Robe also worked as a statistics officer in El Jazeera, Sudan. Then later she became a member of the Constitutional Review Board from 2008 to 2010. We welcome you, Honorable Nadia. Now, to proceed on.
Yes, hi, how are you? Yeah.
We're doing good, thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, how are you? How are you, ladies? Good afternoon. I'm really sorry. I'm really so sorry. I'm in the airport now. They are calling me also to go to the plane. But I'm happy really to be with you today, and I want to greet you one by one. Secretary, how are you? I hope you are well. Yes. Yeah, I have a lot of things to say, but really, I am apologize to you all, and I hope that to see you again in another program. And since Rebecca and Nayen are there, I know, I'm sure that they will cover everything. But I was ready, and I don't know what to say, but I'm really sorry because they are calling us now to go in. I hope you will succeed in your discussion, important gathering. And this is what we wanted really as a woman, to come together and to share the issues that are related to our not able to come and join us in these events. I really want to say that again, wish you a successful and fruitful discussion in these areas. And keep on that, all the question I put the answers to any question, I will send it to you ladies so that you all go through it also in your organization. I'll see you soon, and wish you a good evening. And wassalam.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay.
Yes. Now I'm going to go ahead and proceed on. This is directed to you, Honorable Angela Atiro Onario. Non-discrimination and the equal rights of women and men are fundamental principles of international human rights law. Women's entitlement to full participation in electoral processes is recognized by the United Nations and the international instruments. In practice, however, women are often marginalized in elections as a result of gender discrimination and any number of social, economic, and political factors. One of the most effective ways to ensure women are elected to office is to require that party candidate lists be gender balanced or include a certain portion of women. This is a legal obligation in many countries, including the Republic of South Sudan. So the first question to you, Honorable Angela Atiro, is, what does it mean to be on women's list in the State Legislative Assembly in the Republic of South Sudan? And what criteria is used for nominating women to the party women's list? We can't hear you. You're muted. Could you please unmute?
Okay.
You can go ahead.
Thank you, Eunice, moderator. First of all, I want to thank the Women Leadership Forum for including me in this program. It is my first time to participate in this program. I want also to pass my regards to my colleagues, Mary Ayen Majok, Honorable Rebecca Okwachi, and those who are not participating with us. I greet you all in the name of Jesus Christ. Yeah, as regard to your question, what does it mean to be on women list in the State Legislative Assembly in South Sudan? Women lists are the women who took decision during the 2010 election, general election in Sudan. From there, they make decision that they want to be part of the decision making in this country. To be part of it, you need to participate in to take leadership position. So these women, they came out very boldly to occupy their space, which is enshrined in the Constitution of South Sudan in 2010, to occupy the 25% affirmative action enshrined in the Constitution. So the position in our state was 12 for women lists. And this position, we are to compete with other political parties. You have to compete with other political parties. You have to apply to your party. If you apply to your party, there is process whereby there is electoral college, they screen you, and there are some requirements which you need to fulfill. So in those requirements, they need your educational background, they need your duration in your party, they need your commitment, and they need your monthly subscription. Because if you are a member of the party, you have to pay a monthly prescription and financial resource to run the election. They check on that, and they want also to know your popularity. If you stand, are you popular to the population, to the constituency? Will you win? And also they need the people who nominated you. You have to come with their list, sign, and present it to the party office. You need also to have voters registration, because during that time people were registered and you have to present that voter registration. Some people applied without voter registration, they were screened out. Then you have to have national ID. These were some of the requirements to qualify you to become a women list candidate. If you fulfill all these conditions and your party recommended you pass in the electoral college, then they submit your name to election commission to be registered as candidate to compete with other political parties. So this is how I came to be a member of parliament in the state on women list ticket. During that time in our state, the only people who applied for this 12 position for women list were all SPLM members, and it happened that during the election, all of us succeeded and we came through, because we feel that to make a change, we have to be part of the change. As Rebecca Okwachi stated before, we participated during the liberation struggle, and peace is now at hand. We have to be part of the system, and this is how we came to be on women list ticket in the State Legislative Assembly of Eastern Equatoria. Thank you.
I think you've offered such interesting feedback, because I think the assumption out there is that, well, if you know a particular powerful leader, then you'll get the position. We rarely think about the requirements that you've stated. So I think you're offering such educative information. So thank you, Honorable Angela Ochiru. Now the question is, the next question is addressed to you, Honorable Rebecca Joshua. The question is, does increased cohesion and collaboration among women leaders influence development and peace-building processes in the discussion on women's rights, participation and representation in peace-building processes. Thus, how and can you please give examples? Oh, we can't hear you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. I picked the words cohesion and collaboration, peace and development, which is very important for women, which indicates that, as the saying goes, one hand does not clap, and therefore you need many hands. If you want to go far, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go in a group. So this is a very example which we have experienced in South Sudan. We've never walked alone. We've always had this collaboration, working together, sisterhood and brotherhood also with our men. And not only that, even during the liberation, we had the comradeship. And the word comrade has been a very important title for all of us. First, it showed equality, that everybody is a comrade, no senior person as such, but we are all the same. And then it also brings the cohesion, the working together, despite our diversities and assignments. So cohesion and collaboration is very important. And if you want to develop also, you need knowledge, and that knowledge comes from different directions. People go to different schools, they do different specializations, and when they bring them together, then we are able to move forward together. So cohesion and collaboration is very important. And if you want me to give examples from South Sudan, one of them, as I mentioned before, is the working together during the war. And that helped us to cross the road. As we also joined the government, what Mary mentioned in terms of the elections, I believe no woman said, you know, I'm going to go into a corner and work alone so that I can scoop the chair I want in parliament. It is through that oneness and through that collaboration that the women managed to say, look, there is an opportunity for us. And this opportunity, we are not going to leave it. It's our right. And therefore, women collaborated, they're working together from, say, national level, the same in the states, the same even in the lower level, and they collaborated and worked together for them to say, look, I'm going to go for a women list, or I'm going to go, even there are women who went independent, by the way, during elections. These ones who went independent, they also sought that support, that collaboration with their colleagues and their friends, and they got the information they wanted for them to be able to move forward. So this is very important. The same thing happens today in the institutions that many of the women are in, that work together, especially for women's rights, for women's development, for women, even inclusion in the system, and even outside in the civil society. This cohesion and this collaboration has been the key factor that women have really adopted. Let me just give you a quick example from the history we had, not very far history. During the run-up for the peace agreement before 2005, we were part of the civil society, and they were really working very hard for peace building. And sometimes it becomes so difficult and challenging when women want to go to various states or different communities to go and disseminate the information needed for empowering the women, empowering the youth, empowering the civil society, empowering even the traditional leaders. And then you remember the 1991 split that happened in the political sphere during the war. So what women did was to say, look, we are not going to fool ourselves and divide ourselves for no reason, that these people are from this faction and those ones are from the other faction. So what we did, and it was our secret, that we have one program. But then the program, wherever you can reach and wherever you are acceptable by whoever feel that the others are not acceptable in that particular area, the information is taken. And I remember very well living examples of cooperating or working together with people like Anisi Achieng, who today is in the Council of State, Chiodi, who worked for the church, and a big number of women. We really worked together. And late Regina Morris, may her soul rest in peace. She was our senior. She was our sister who was really well educated and learned. And Regina was leading that part of Eastern Equatoria. We were collaborating, we were working together, and we were able to succeed. We were able to build the communities. We were able to send the information. We were able even to train. We would go to the countryside, to the grassroots, and do comprehensive training on peace building, on development of the capacities of our people in very difficult areas. We went to Fashoda, we went to Torit, we went to, Kajukeji was difficult to reach, and we even collaborating with the women in the north, in Sudan by then. So this is one example that we really work together to be able to build our women. Today, we are doing it, and I will give a quick example of what we did during the national dialogue, which ended late last year. There was a big participation of women, and that will even contribute to the first question you asked me earlier, the power that women have. Women of South Sudan showed their power, real power during the national dialogue. First, our sister, Honorable Betty Achan, was really acting sometimes and most of the times when the co-chair was not there. And she showed that leadership that, sometimes we tease her and give her some titles, which I don't want to talk about now. But she was very strong and she really showed that leadership. But also for us as women who were in the plenary, we always saw, not to be biased, but we wanted to empower our women who were in that level of leadership. And whenever Betty is on the chair, it's like we really get energized and we contribute. Not only that, but even during the sessions, first there were like the row where I was sitting, there were about 7 or 8 of us women, and we sat there strategically so that we can share information, we can share the knowledge and then based on the backgrounds we have, we can keep ourselves with information, and whoever gets the opportunity to talk, because there were about 500 people in that hall, and it's not easy to get an opportunity. Whoever gets the opportunity is that same piece of information that 6 of us wanted to contribute that will go to one person. And that helped us to really, send our message home, send our information home. I was also so excited that we had even younger people behind us. That again, the power that Mary talked about earlier, Honorable Mary, that this information, that knowledge, that power that we have has to trickle down. We have to influence. We have to build leadership of young people who come after us. And then there were amazing people there and women and young women. Some are parliamentarians by far younger than us. Some are people like Elizabeth Luger. I was really impressed because she was just, a child at some point. So I just want to say that the issue of cohesion amongst women, being in politics, being in development, even in professionalism and the knowledge that we have in the civil society, and even on the grassroots, because again, when we talk about leadership, I just want to draw our attention that we should not be carried away by always thinking leadership is in the government. Leadership is everywhere. Even the women on the grassroots, those who have not gone to school, these women have the natural wisdom that they've been using. That's the same way our grandmothers never went to school. But you can't imagine how those women were so intelligent. They could innovate things that we could not even do today without tools. I remember my late father, he was a mathematician. He would do calculations without even a calculator, which our young people are not doing today. Yeah. So I just want to say that cohesion, that collaboration, that oneness, that unity and unified sense of purpose, despite our diversity, help us in leadership to work together, collaborate in development, in even attaining higher level of leadership whenever we want it, and also bringing up the grassroots so that then together we are able to build this country.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Rebecca Joshua. We can surely learn a lot about how cohesive our women were during the liberation period. Now, the next question is addressed to you, Honorable Mary Ayen. And the question is, what is the Council of State in South Sudan? How is it different from the National and State Assembly Parliament? And what roles does the Council of State play? What criteria are used to select people to the Council of State? And does qualification matter?
Yeah, thank you so much, Eunice. Those questions are very good because also it's part of educating ourselves about our legislative institutions in the Republic of South Sudan. For those who may not know, South Sudan, in terms of the legislation, is a bicameral system. That means we have two houses, the National Legislative Assembly and the Council of States. And when we say bicameral system, because there are other countries where there is only one legislative body, that in most cases, the National Legislative Assembly. Like Sudan recently, they decided to go for only one house before they have the Council of State and the National Legislative Assembly. So the two houses together, we call them the National Legislature. When they meet and they sit together in joint sittings, we call them the National Legislature. But the Council of States, if we are to compare it to other countries, in other countries they call it the Senate. Like in Kenya, in South Africa, they call it the House of Provinces. In the US also, they call it the Senate. In the UK system, they call it the House of Lords. So German also is a bicameral, Hungary, and many other countries. So in terms of number, our Council of State, yes, is equivalent to the Senate. We have 50 members, and the 50 members were from the very previous 10 states of South Sudan, where it was supposed to be 5 members from each state. But some states delegated more than 5 members. In the Council of State, we have 7 specialized committees, where one of them is the Committee of Decentralized Governance and State Affairs that I'm chairing. My colleague, Honorable Anicia, is chairing right now the Committee of Gender, Peace and Reconciliation. It is important also to know that among the 50 members in the Council of State, we have only 6 women, that is 12% representation. So the question of how is the Council of State different from the National Legislative Assembly? The both houses, as per Article 50 of the Transitional Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan, both of them are mandated to represent the will of the people of South Sudan. So they do the representation process. As legislative body also, they do the oversight role, where they oversight on the various institutions of the government, and they do also the role of legislation. But now the mandate is different from the National Assembly, where the National Assembly focus on the national policies and legislation, but the Council of State mainly focus on legislating on issues to do with the states. But in terms of the oversight, we do oversight over the 3 levels of the government. We oversight over the national, over the state level, and then the local government level. So the 3 levels, the Council of State can do the oversight process. Together also with the National Legislative Assembly, we do approve the budget. So our national budget cannot be approved only by one house. It has to be in joint sittings by the legislature where they participate. But now, from the Council of State, we will be focusing to make sure that the budget is not consumed at the national level, that the states are also benefiting. So we do, as we are doing oversight on the 3 level, but we have a specific focus on the states to see that the service are reaching the states, because actually when services and the allocations of budgets and the programs are implemented at the lowest level, then definitely we will see the change, and then the development and progress of the whole nation is done. So together with the National Assembly, we have some joint sittings, but as Council of State, we have our separate sessions where we focus. We also do issues to do also with gender. That's why we have this Committee of Gender and Reconciliation, but mainly we do also follow the states, and that's why we do report if there are these cases of issues to do with gender-based violence. We can also specifically summon those governors, like some of the cases that are taking place. I remember last September, yes, I was in a wheel, and the director for the Ministry of Gender was reporting that 8 girls actually, not women, committed suicide just in 1 month. So such concern, we report them to the council, because mainly those issues are not actually reported to the national government. They end it at the state level. And so many cases, like in my own home, 2 weeks ago, a young lady also committed a suicide. And those cases, if we are to follow them, you will find that they are mainly because of forced marriage and those domestic violence. So again, also the criteria for selecting members to the Council of States. Yes, it is according to the Election Act of 2012, the National Election Act of 2012. All the criteria are there, as exactly Honorable Angela mentioned. But I think the matter of all the criteria is the trust of the population that you are going to represent. But specifically about the Council of State, the members are selected by the State Legislative Assembly. We are not directly from the constituencies like the National Legislative Assembly. We are selected from the State Assembly. So in our case, we know the Council of State was established in 2011 after the independence, or during the independence of our country. So some members were elected to the Council of State of Sudan. But some of us, including myself, then we were nominated to establish the new Council of State in Sudan, because there was no election in 2011. So 20 were elected to the Council of State of Sudan, and then the 30 were added here. So the criteria, yes, it is either from the State Assembly, but from the parties, or the constituencies that they are supposed to represent, because sometimes they try to do also the balance, because the whole State Assembly is divided into counties. So they will make sure also that all the counties are covered, or at least members will represent the whole state. But I think most important is about the trust, because I myself, when I was nominated, I was in Sudan by then, but my community decided to take me because I've been serving. Since we were in the secondary school, we did a lot of work to the community, and I was also active in the party during when we were in the university. So the community, I think they have the trust in me that if we send this daughter of ours to the assembly, then she may also help and may carry our issues to the board. So I think it's about also the trust is one of the criteria, and that's why we have some members who are not from, like in 2010 election, we have members who were independent and they won in their constituencies. They were not supported by a specific party. So yeah, because they have the trust of their constituency, they made it also to win their election. I think the qualifications, it matters a lot. And this is connected to the question number 1 that you asked Honorable Rebecca about having power, because if we don't have the qualification, this is where we may be given power and we may not use it, or we may abuse it. also, if those qualifications are there. And those qualifications, yes, some of them are mentioned by the Constitution. For example, maybe the ability to read and write, although it is not, it has not specified whether certificates, but it's talking about reading and writing. But I think awareness about what a parliamentarian exactly is going to do is very important, and to be courageous enough also to talk and to speak up on your constituency and your issues and to have them in heart is very important. And also, there is a need for those the members who are to be sent to the parliament to have a qualification where they are able also to work in a diverse environment. Otherwise, also they will close themselves in their comfort zone, and they may not collaborate and work with other women from various environments.
Okay. You've raised some really important points. And it's unfortunate to hear that within a span of a few months, we had several women commit suicide, and you're able to take note of that. It's quite unfortunate. Now, the next question is addressed to you, Honorable Angela Achiro, and the questions are, what are the roles of women at the State Legislative Assembly, and what achievements can be attributed to women in leadership and decision-making in the Republic of South Sudan?
Thank you. The role of women in the State Legislative Assembly, they carry out all the mandates and function of the Assembly as stated by law. They carried out all these functions like any other members, because in the State Legislative Assembly, we have members who come from constituency, a member who came through the party list and women list. So all of us in the Assembly, we carry out the same mandates and function of the Assembly. In the Assembly, we have three main roles. We represent the will of the people who mandated you to go to the parliament and represent them. We present their will. We are their mouthpiece. We make laws. We are lawmakers. We also do the oversight role of the function of the executive and various institutions in the state. We also approve budget for the state. We actually scrutinize the budget to see that the budget goes for the right purpose. As women representatives specifically, we are to ensure all laws passed in the state should be gender sensitive without discrimination. All policies which we scrutinize, we have to ensure that it take care of everybody in the state. This is our specific roles as women. We also advocate as Women Parliamentary Caucus to ensure that the 25% affirmative action is implemented in the state, right from the state level up to the local level. Although there are challenges, but we always advocate that this affirmative action has to be implemented at all levels of governance. We also lobby for position within the parliament as women. As women caucus, we always sit together and see to take our position in the ABC, Assembly Business Committee. In our state, we have 11 members of Assembly Business Committee. That is the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Chief Whip, and 8 members of 8 position for chairperson. Always as Women Caucus, we sit and see that we are also represented in this ABC committee, and to ensure that any service delivery, we have to ensure that it is to be distributed equitably in all the counties. This is actually some of the function we are carrying out in the parliament. Thank you.
You're indeed carrying out really important key policies, and we thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and read some comments from some of our viewers who have been watching the discussion. Martha Naruka Nodihak is stating that, great discussion. The current women representatives need to do a lot in terms of representing women well and also grooming young women to take up political positions. It may not be a bad thing, but we have been having same-face recycling. We need new players on the block too. And then we have a comment from Brother Francis Jeremiah, who says that this is a great platform discussion, great role of women in moving the country forward. Congratulations to the organizers. So these are some of the feedbacks that we're getting. And then Harriet Benz states that, keep up, Honorable Rebecca Joshua Pachi, you have stated the truth. So these are some of the feedback. And we really ask our viewers, please feel free to ask questions and interact with the panelists, because we're here to learn and work collectively. Now, the next question is addressed to Honorable Rebecca Joshua. And the question is, what roles do women leaders play as national ministers, parliamentarians, and head of commissions in the Republic of South Sudan? And how do they measure the performance of a leader?
Yeah, thank you very much, Eunice. I appreciate the comments, and we also like some of these issues connected with the youth and young people. I'm happy that this has been raised. But let me just come back to the question that you've asked about the roles of women, national ministers, parliament, and commissions. First, in the government system, you have the judiciary, you have the legislation, and you have the executive. So these are the arms that are very important in your question. You asked about the executive and the legislature, and then also the commissions. These are the executive body. Ministers are leaders who are either selected or appointed to the leadership position so that they can take up the responsibility of policy making. And by policy making, a policy is a guidelines that shows very clearly the vision, the mission, the mandate, the core values, the plans and programs and activities that the ministry does. So this goes across men and women. If you are a minister, then you are charged with that responsibility. Ministers also are assistants to the president or the higher leadership, and therefore any program within their responsibility, they need to report to the higher leadership, to the cabinet, but also the president. They are aiding the president, if I could say that, in terms of leadership. And they also work on budgets. They lead the ministries in preparing their budgets. And when the budgets are presented to the cabinet, they are the ones who defend the budgets of their particular ministries. And also they go and defend their budgets in the assembly, or the National Legislative Assembly for that matter. So they ensure that there is transparent leadership within the ministry, and they also make sure that there is funding, or there is budget or money for operationalization of activities in the ministry, and make sure that ministries are delivering. Deliverables must be done, and then also for you to have deliverables, you have to have a staff that is, in terms of administration, is covered by the undersecretary, and then it comes down to directors general and directors. So the whole system of the, what you call organogram, has to be complete so that you run the work. Now, as for women, they will not be different than the men who are also ministers. But there's one thing before I forget that Honorable Mary mentioned earlier. The ministries that are run by women are a lot more, and I don't want the men to get unhappy, but I think that is the reality. The hearts are always there to ensure that services go to the people and they trickle down to those who are needy. Take example, the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. I did not serve there, but as a former minister, I know very well that one very important thing that happened in that ministry over the time is that there is a clear gender policy. There are also documents very clear on the child protection or the child, and then also on social welfare, and also on people with disability and other issues of rights and combating issues of gender-based violence and the rest, and peace and security. It's a big ministry with a lot of branches, but there's a lot there. It's much more on service. It's much more on, you need to extend that hand of government to the people. The children, the issue of marriage, the street children, those with disability and the rest. Just one example I'm giving. Those services are very important. And therefore, that ministry also over the time was led by women. They was led by women, and examples I will give, if I forget others, are Honorable Awut Dengachil, Honorable Mary Kiden, and Honorable Jema Nunu also came there. And, you know, women have been leading that ministry, and their deliverables are good. Work is overwhelming, but there's a lot that they have done in that ministry. Give example of where I served. I will not forget myself, because also there are things I will speak about from the practical point of view. When I was the Minister of Telecommunications and Postal Services, and I think you read part of it earlier, and that was the truth. I wanted to make sure that we get connected technologically. South Sudan cannot remain behind when everybody has gone forward. And I've always been saying, look, if anything I can do well for our government, for our country, for our people, is to ensure that we start where the world is. We are not going to go back and start, you know, walking to run with the envelope for miles. So we wanted to go into that technological sphere that we've reached to. Thanks also to our government that we have the South Sudan Vision 2040, which indicates very clearly, among others, the issue of technology and ICT, and anchoring ICT as an element of growth for South Sudan. And therefore, during my time, I embarked on ensuring that we are connected with the fiber optic, and which is also not far from us, 192 kilometers from the border of Uganda. And we went as far as launching the initial idea of having the fiber optic. And I thank our president. I want to stop here and say, I thank His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, the president of this country, because he stood by me. And he made sure that when we did the initial launch, the president was there. So this is one example. The other thing was connecting South Sudan by what we call one network area. The one network area was the telephone communication. And instead of having our SIM card working within South Sudan, we're also part of the Northern Corridor. And Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda have already embraced ICT. So why not South Sudan? During the time of Rebecca Joshua, people must go technological. And I remember my colleagues used to tease me as a .com and .com. And people think .com are only young people. But some of us said, look, we are all going to be .com if it's going to contribute to our development. And I tell you, that was one of the best experiences I've had in my life as a minister, was the Ministry of Telecom, because there was a lot we were able to do as South Sudan, and even to go and showcase South Sudan in Thailand and other aspects. So all I want to say is that as women who have served in the position of ministers and also deputy ministers, I think these are just examples, but time will not allow me to go in every aspect. Madam Jema Nunu, Madam Awut, and my sister younger sister Lily Albino, who came after us and continued from there, and a number of them, the late Priscilla Nyanyang, and all the women I have not mentioned who worked in the position of ministers. I think they have had a lot of deliverables that South Sudan is enjoying today, but there is still more to be done. The same thing as the women of parliament, I should not leave them out because you asked the question. The women in parliament worked very hard and they continue to work very hard. And having policies passed in parliament, women contributed a lot. Having also the budgets that we used to raise as ministers, women played a very big role. And I would not leave people like Joy Kwaje and all these MPs, and also those of Honorable Mary Ayan, who is with us here in the panel from the Council of States. We've raised issues, they have been standing there and they were supporting. So women have worked, women have delivered, and they will continue to deliver as long as they are there in the position of leadership. And we're going to encourage the young ones to also come up and continue from there, like my sister, Dr. Awel, who is today the Deputy Speaker in the Council of States. Women have been doing wonders in all levels of leadership.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and read some feedback from our viewers. We have Dr. Ann Peter Lomole. She says, thank you for the statement, Honorable Angela Ochiro, the statement you made that to make a change, we have to be part of that change. And then we also have a remark here from Comrade Rampang Todd Deng. He says that it's intriguing to watch mothers, leaders, advocators, and image of our country. So that's part of the feedback we're getting from the viewers. The next question is to you, Honorable Mary Ayen. The question is, what measures should be taken to support and build the capacity of some women parliamentarians so that they are able to perform their roles better and be more efficient? Oh, got it.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I'm saying this is a very important question because having women in parliament who are doing their job effectively, efficiently, not only on women issues, but on national issues is very important. Then it is a demand and a very high demand. So if it is a demand, then there is a need for supply. What supply can we do so that we have those vibrant and efficient and women who are doing their job to the satisfaction? I think the measures are not only when women are already in the parliament. It's need to be done since their childhood. Because if we want women to perform certain duties as men do, then we need also to supply them. We need to prepare them for those jobs. And this is through education, whether formal or informal education. And by informal and or non-formal here, I mean where the cultures, the socializations, and the upbringing of children also can affect the personality of the individuals in the future. So this is very important also, the role that families can play in building up our personalities. So girls should be treated the way we want, what we are expecting from them should be given to them from the very early. So I'm talking here, there is need to prepare those parliamentarians, and I'm talking about the future generation. For us, maybe we got it, well, we were not prepared for that job, but we are learning, we are observing other leaders like our great sister, Honorable Rebecca. We tried, we decided, we selected our mentors. But this mentorship and coaching program can be designed so that girls are prepared for the job, not to get those chances by chance. Now, there is a need also for training and capacity building And these are also continuous because learning is dynamic. And this can be done also for those who are already in the parliament. But indeed, it's need from the women themselves who are there to be open up, to be ready. Because if you are not ready for transformation, if you are not ready to learn, if you are not ready even to deliver, then nothing can be done. Nobody else can change you. So there is a lot of things to be done, programs to be done for women, but those women should be also ready to carry out those performances. And for them to deliver, yes, training can be done, but they need also to be at least having the minimum for them to receive those training and capacity building. Yeah. Thank you so much. Hello?
Oh, I am muted, sorry. Okay. So the next question is addressed to you, Honorable Angela Chiro. Kindly state some of the evidence-based achievements of women in leadership and decision-making positions in your state. And also, how many women are heading or are in charge of various committees in the state legislative assembly in your state?
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is a very good question. The achievements that can be attributed to women in leadership and decision making in South Sudan is fairly good compared to previous years. Now we have women representatives at all levels of government, right from the national up to local government. We have women who are working in UN, NGOs. We have women-led organizations like in my state. We have one of the powerful organizations led by a woman, that is a 12 women organization. And we have women association at the state level. It is a women-led organization. We have also community-based organizations who are led by women. We have women holding positions at various levels. Like in my state, we are having a deputy governor who was a woman, Dr. Margaret Eto. We have women who are ministers. We have Minister of Information was a woman, Margaret Edwa. We have Minister of Health also who was a woman, Pasca Epita, who have been doing very well. We are also blessed because the affirmative action that enshrined in our constitution, it was women who ensured that this affirmative action should be enshrined in the constitution. And that is an opportunity for us women, and we record it as an achievement for us women. Some of the evidence-based achievement in the women in leadership, as I stated to you before, we have women representation at all states. In my state, in the parliament, we have 5 women who are heading committees, and I was one of them in 2016-2019. We were 5 women who are heading committees and 5 deputy chairpersons also who were advising the chairperson. So for us women at the state, we have as a good achievement. It is a good progress, which was not there before. Even currently, the people who replace us, we ensure that our position should not be taken. 5 women chairpersons right now, and 5 deputies who are women. It means we have won 25% in our state in terms of representation in the committee. We are okay. We really worked hard to ensure that we head those committees, and we have done a very good job during our tenure in the office. And in the state, people know the power of women in the parliament because of our hard work when we are heading the committee. Thank you.
Yes, no true statement has been made before. Indeed, South Sudanese women are among the most hardworking women in the world.
Come again? Come again?
South Sudanese women are among the most hardworking women in the world.
I didn't get you well. Come again?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm just saying that South Sudanese women are among the most hardworking women.
They're what? They're the most powerful women?
Oh, it's all right. It's okay. So,
I did not get you. I didn't get you well. I didn't get the question well.
oh, no, I was just making a statement.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So we're going to proceed on because we have limited time left and we'll be concluding not long from now. The question is to you, Honorable Rebecca Joshua. The question is, there is the notion in South Sudan that women leaders are not friendly to the media. How does keeping distance and avoiding media houses impact women in leadership and decision-making positions in the country? And what do you think should be done about it?
I can't hear you, Eunice.
Oh, you can't hear me. Honorable Mary, yeah, do you mind muting your audio? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So the question I was asking is addressed to you, Honorable Rebecca, is there is the notion in South Sudan that women leaders are not friendly to the media. How does keeping distance and avoiding media houses impact women in leadership and decision-making positions in the country? And what do you think should be done about it?
Thank you. I was looking forward to something to do with the media. I want to dispute that statement that they keep away or they fear the media. Is that what you mean, isn't it?
They could distance themselves or be apprehensive in having the media approach them.
I don't think that is true. I mean, since when? It's quite a long time that South Sudanese women have been courageous enough to face the media. I'm not sure who gave that statement and whether they have any evidence of that.
Actually, I've had that experience, you know, of going to a minister's office and them shunning, you know, even their secretary saying she doesn't know, he doesn't talk to the media. So there is that situation taking place within the country.
No, that's not true. First, there's nobody who will do something good and would want to hide it. So if you are talking about women politicians, first, if you do something good, you always want to bring it to the table so that people can see it. And that's why when I gave example, I didn't want to shy away from giving my own successes and experience because I know people have to know about it. This is service to the people, and people have to know what has happened and how has it happened. The same thing also, when you talk about successes, you also talk about challenges. If you are in the position of leadership, there's no way you can just sit down there and hide and see things are not happening and you're not talking. The public will always ask. Some of us have gone through that. People will grumble. This is not happening. Ministers are not working. And we've always been on the media saying, look, the challenge is this. I've done the plans as the minister in accordance with what is required for me. But for example, maybe the budget has not been released. So the public must know that the budget has not been released. There are other experiences, for example, where media, say journalists would come and would want to interview people. I think that is the point that you wanted highlighted. I'm a journalist, you know that. And I've conducted a lot of interviews to so many people, including big people, and even reporting from far. The problem with the ministries in particular, with ministers, And that's something I have been encouraging our young journalists to learn. In my training as a journalist, I am trained how to approach people if I want to conduct interviews with them. But imagine, somebody would want to come to your office at any time they want, and they would want to get you ready for interview. You could be in a meeting, you could have been someone by parliament, you could be in the office of the president, you may even have other things in your pipeline that you are doing. It may not be able to immediately meet the people. Journalists go back and they complain that ministers don't want to see us. So this is also an area, I'm not accusing the journalists, but I'm saying this is an area that needs to be ironed out. There was a time I told a particular journalist, don't come to my office again, because they come ready with their equipment and they want to interview you immediately. That is not how you do it in journalism. You need to give people also a chance to even interact with. There was someone who came to my office, I remember I gave him an opportunity, he came, I told him, while I'm clearing this, you test your equipment. He told me, no, I'm fine. And then imagine after the interview, then he goes and tells me, oh, I'm sorry, I realized the equipment was faulty. This one, if I were the boss by then, I will sack that kind of a journalist who does not even check the equipment. But leave this aside, this is just one element of it. I think some of you have followed the ministers, especially women, giving statements based on their work. Many of you have seen Nuno Kumba maybe hundreds of times. You've seen Mary Ayen several times talking about the Council of State. You might have seen the women in parliament who are chairs of committees speaking. I also don't want to forget this very important women, the women who are in East Africa community. We have three giants, the Ann Itos and the Wada Jeremiah and our sister Guy, Nial Deng, the three. These women have been coming on the media whenever there is anything to do with East African community. Apart from those who are holding other positions. Maybe also the area of journalism when it comes also to, say, SSBC. Sometimes they may have problem of airtime. They may not be able to host everybody at any time, but they have been round tables. There is a women forum there, which I attended a number of times. Not only that, Eunice, some of us even impose ourselves. You know, it's sometimes not good to go there and ask to be interviewed. But when there are issues that need to come up, a number of times I've gone to SSBC and told them, look, I'm coming as a poet. I don't know whether you know that I'm a poet. I have points that I would want to convey to the public. I want them to hear about the matters. I want them to hear about the love and unity. And I request that I want to come on the media. So women have been there. Women leaders have been there. Yeah. They also have every right to decline if they don't want to answer a particular question, but they are there. It takes two to tango. Women may be ready to go on the media, but the media is not available for them for some reasons they know. And also women have to look for opportunities for them to communicate and to send their messages out, because the media is not only for appearance, but it's also for education, it is for entertainment, it is capacity building as we talk. And I think the area I would want to encourage also is social media. I think it's very important. And I want again to congratulate you and the team from the leadership and intellectual team that we've been coming on social media. I tell you today, because COVID-19 has forced us to go technological and virtual, you can see many of the women on virtual media. And I think women are available there, but we need more sources that will also be open for social issues, for economic issues, for politics, so that then you have the availability of the opportunity, and also the women, I'm sure, are ready there to be on the media so that they can interact with the public.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Rebecca. We have Lucia Ayuak, who is one of the viewers, we thank you for watching, Lucia, and also Elizabeth Mon is greeting you all. She says, how are you all doing? And then we have Nyaman who's watching. So we thank you all for continuing to watch the program. Now, panelists, I'm going to go ahead and ask you the final question. If you could please make it brief, that would be greatly appreciated. The final question to you, Honorable Mary Ayen, is, what are the barriers affecting women in leadership and decision making, and what are your recommendations moving forward?
There are so many challenges that are facing women in leadership and in decision making. Some of them are external challenges, and some of them are internal, that within the women themselves. So, and in other way also, we can say that there are some social and cultural challenges, where I mentioned earlier the socialization, the way the personality of women are built up, whether they are trained to be confident, to lead, whether they are prepared actually to take responsibility apart from their own just looking at themselves as housewives and all this. These are social and cultural challenges. There are economical challenges also, because if women are not economically, if they are not empowered, then definitely also they will not have a loud voice, because being economically empowered is also having your voice could be heard in which environment you are. And we can look also now like the businessmen and women, that they may not be politicians, but you can see the weight also they have in their communities and even in the nation. So it is one of the challenges that are facing us, the women also, that in terms of economic, we need to be empowered. And from here, I want to congratulate also the National Transformational Leadership Institute, because one of the trainings and the capacity building we are doing for women is the economic empowerment, that women should be trained so that they build themselves and they think how can they economically be empowered, having the skills before we give them the resources. And then there are also the political challenges. And these political challenges is when women are not, they may be in positions, but they are not really the decision makers. Looking at our situation now in South Sudan, where we have these complications that decisions are not only made maybe in the political parties, but we have also the parties to the peace agreement. So where the women are positions within those mechanisms where decisions are taken, this is also a challenge where women need strategically to position themselves. And about the internal challenges, I think also lack of confidence, lack of experience, the fear of unknown. Sometimes you are even in a position, but you fear something you don't know. It's like, if I did it, you fear that you still look at yourself that, no, I should not do this. So those fears also can be a real challenge for women, even if they are given all the powers. But if you are lacking confidence and you don't have the trust in your ability to carry out your duties, then you will definitely fail. Then my recommendations, I know that for women to move forward, women need to network, whether in parliament, in executive, and in judiciary also. I think we did not mention those of Perpetua Ajonya. We have great ladies in the judiciary. Women across the sectors, we need to network, we need to work together and to collaborate. Women also need to think of how better can they position themselves instead of competing for position. They may strategize how to position and to place themselves in various places so that they occupy spaces in various levels instead of competing maybe for one or two posts. I think also for the good example is now we have the revitalized peace agreement, where the nomination of women is done within the political parties. So, and we have the same positions that we may all look at. So if women are not working together, if they are not consulting themselves in directly or indirectly, then at the end we may not make it. As we can see now, most of the political parties are not nominating women. And from here, I want to congratulate the other political parties. Having seen 2 women yesterday were decreed to be deputy governors, it's something I myself within my party, the SPLM, that we are lacking in when the ministers and when the governors and the deputy governors up to now, we were lacking behind in terms of fulfilling the certified representation of women. So, but if women were working together, I believe we would have positioned ourselves. And now even having women in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in the defense, it was not by chance. I think women, we tried, we worked together. And I know very well that during when we were in the Women Caucus, we raised petition and we had meetings where even we choose and we selected ministers by name. We said this time we need these ministries. And I'm happy that we have seen some of these fruits are fulfilled now. So women need to join hands and to come up with clear position on what do we need. If our parties are not really recognizing us, then clearly they need to hear our voices. That what is if I'm not useful there, then why should I be in a position in a place or in an environment where I'm not recognized as someone who can contribute also. So we should not be only voters, but we should participate in nation building by being positioned in those positions where decisions are made. We need also to mentor and coach other women. This is a recommendation. And we need to collectively create a space for more women to come on board. Not only we will be here today, but for we need other young leaders also to come on board. So we need to position ourselves not only to compete ourselves as women, but to support and to work together so that we have more women and we can really make the change, not only in lives of women, but in for the whole South Sudan. Eunice, if later on I have chance, I wanted to give also my experience on our relation to media, but thank you so much, if I'm allowed later on.
Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed, mentoring women and building new leaders is very important. Now, this is the last question to you, Honorable Angela Chiro. The question is, what are the challenges affecting women in the state legislative assembly and in your state? And what are your recommendations moving forward?
Okay, thank you. There are so many challenges.
Oh, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
Okay, let me come again. I think we have so many barriers and challenges in the state. Honorable Mary Ayen has mentioned many of the challenges facing women. In my state, one of the main challenges facing us women at our state is cultural barriers. You know, some cultures does not recognize leadership of women. And if you go, you are not sometimes allowed even to address a congregation of men. They will not respect you. And this is affecting us as women leaders at the state. The low level of education. You know, most of our women during the war, they never get chance of going to school because our state was a battlefield. And many of them did not really get chance of going to school. And at the moment, as I stated before, the cultural barriers, many of our girls are married out. They are dropped out of school. And this is affecting us as women because we need to develop other women, other young women into leadership. And if they are dropping out from school, it means we may not have women leaders in future. So to have power, you need to be educated. as somebody mentioned before, education is power. Education is key to everything. So many of our girls are dropping out due to early marriages. We have also financial constraint as women leaders. We don't have enough money to run programs at our constituency to support women at the grassroots. Even insecurity is affecting us as women, not only as women leaders, even women at the grassroots. The insecurity of cattle wrestling, intertribal conflict is affecting women and children so much in the state, and child abduction. Competition among women and men. You know, there is high competition when it comes to position. And sometimes men use women to pull other women down so that they can take that position. Gender-based violence. In my state, there is rampant gender-based violence, and it is affecting us as women. And the women has not placed themselves in various political parties. For us women to increase our number in decision making, we need to place ourselves in various political parties. Like in Rwanda. In Rwanda, women are 50% in the parliament because they have placed themselves in different political parties. For us women in South Sudan also, if we want really to come many in decision-making position, we need really to place ourselves in various political parties, and we need also to collaborate so that we can come many in decision-making and we can realize the change we want to make in South Sudan. Inferiority complex, as Mary has mentioned, is also affecting us as women. There are so many challenges actually. The implementation of affirmative action. In my state, at least at the state level, it is implemented, but when you go at the local level, it is not really implemented fully. We have 8 counties, and in all these 8 counties, they have never appointed a woman to head a county. When we ask, they said there is insecurity. A woman cannot be a commissioner because of insecurity. So this is a challenge for us women at the state level, which we need to work on it. My recommendation, we need to sensitize our people on the harmful traditional practices, which really undermine women's rights and dignity. If we do this, then we can empower our women socially, politically. And we need to have mentorship program to mentor other young girls to come into position of powers. As women parliamentarians, we need really to have constituency development fund so that we can, because there is issue of service delivery at the grassroots. If we have this fund, we can go and deliver some services at the grassroots to our women. We can support them. And we need also capacity building for women at the state level. You know, women at the state level, they are just confined within the state. Even coming to Juba is a challenge. Some of our members have never even come to Juba. We are just from the state headquarters to your counties, and that is all. We are not even exposed. So if there is need, there should be in exchange visit. Maybe we go to WOW and see how people are doing. We go to Malakal. We have interstate exchange visit if we cannot go outside to learn, to share experience with other women.
Yes.
I think Mary has mentioned many of our challenges as women, vary from social politically. And these are the real challenges facing our women in South Sudan. And for us to achieve, we need to work on it collectively.
Yes.
Collectively to address these challenges so that we can go ahead. I think these are some of the few challenges I can mention. There are many. There are many.
Yes.
Ah.
I think this applies to you, Honorable Angela. There's a comment from one of our viewers, Nyaman Joka, states that women fear the responsibility, as you have said. One of the examples is that there is a position for women to be a commissioner in one of the counties in my state. Most of the women I have consulted have refused, saying that the position is not fit for the woman at this time. So Nyamani is saying that there's a position open in one of the counties in her state for a woman to take. But then the women she's spoken with have said that no, it is not the right time for a woman to take up that position.
Is it in my state?
She did not specify the state.
But in my state, the women are ready to take up position to be as commissioners. But we are not given the opportunity.
Yeah.
We are always told that there are insecurity, you cannot lead.
Yeah, I think she might be from a different state. Yes. So, and also we have a comment here from Kon Mayuena Chol. He says that really very excited to see our leaders who are always women in our country talking about challenges facing our women. Thank you so much to our leaders and mothers at the same time. May God bless you all. And then we have Lucy Jewel, who's greeting you all from Nairobi. She's watching from Nairobi. Now I'm going to go ahead and ask Honorable Rebecca Joshua the last question here. And then once the question has been answered, there's one important question that one of our viewers have asked. So I'll leave that for the last portion of this discussion. So Honorable Rebecca Joshua, what are the challenges facing women leaders within media, in the cabinet, and in the parliament? What are your recommendations moving forward?
Thank you. If I got your question right, what are the challenges meeting women in leadership, say cabinet and parliament, regarding media, isn't it, right?
I think also women in media. So yeah,
challenges facing women in the media.
Yeah,
women who work in the media.
In the cabinet and in the parliament.
Okay. Okay, so these are two things. One are the women who are in parliament and cabinet, and women, media women.
Yes.
Media women. Okay. First, thank you. First, I just want to say that media is the fourth estate, and it's considered the fourth estate after the three arms of government, and therefore it's very, very important and of utmost importance. It helps us to coordinate, to cooperate, to send information, get feedback, and also educate us. So for women, the most important thing is that we don't keep information to ourselves. It's just like having knowledge and you keep it to yourself. You don't teach others, you don't mentor others. It doesn't go out, it doesn't benefit you alone. Because if you are one, then you will not be able to transform others. So it's very important that as women, we engage with the media so we are able to share the knowledge, the information, even the challenges that we are facing. For women in leadership, ministers and in parliament, I believe many of them have been courageous enough to reach the media, to speak with the media, and communicate the information they want to communicate. I always encourage that you need also a feedback, because if you don't have the feedback, then you don't know whom you are talking with outside there. Media women are encouraged that women should not be portrayed only in the lowest level of social status. And this is a challenge media has been battling with throughout. But in South Sudan, we want to say that it's not only when anything bringing a woman is in a dispute that we portray. We also need to bring women who are delivering in their work, women who have done innovations, women who are in leadership position, women who are also playing a great role. Like today, we have as one of the vice presidents of our country, Her Excellency Mama Rebecca Nyandeng Dimobio. You know, the young people need to see Madam Rebecca. They need to know about her. They need to know what she's doing, because the level she has reached is very important. So I don't want the media to wait only when an event happens. They need to reach her and reach others who have something to communicate, so that they're able to send it out to the people. And I'm saying that because you could have news, and news, they're transient. Something happens and finish and it goes. But you also, media women need to use a forum for lifting the level of women, for building the capacity of women, but also showing women as leaders, as strong women, as those who are building the nation. Even as I said earlier, the grassroots, women on the grassroots need to be portrayed. I also want to encourage women in the media to guard against corruption. And this is something we get in our training. If you are going to portray those who pay you, then you are going down the cliff. This is not good, it's corruption. And you will end up also having news items, programs which are low, because you will not go for to whom it may concern, or those who have a message to be sent out, but you will only go hammering on. And I see a lot of this happening in our country. That is the truth. I'm going to talk about it. Sometimes you realize there are faces that appear over the media every other day as if they are working there. But how much are they saying? How much is the public getting from there? So I want to encourage women in the media to also be able to be sharp and look for messages, information that are worthy, that are useful to the society, that will educate others. As for the women, also the topics, let me bring also the issue of the context, Eunice, if you don't mind. There are challenges, and my colleagues have talked about them, but we need to talk about gender equity. We need to talk about gender equality. We need to talk about women empowerment. We are talking about issues of mentoring and issues of training. We can use the media to the utmost we can, and we can send out these messages that we are talking about. So there are topics, there is a content which is very important. Sometimes it's missing, and we spend a lot of time talking about trivial little things, but some of these have to come out. And women in the media need to go through capacity building. They need a lot of training so that they are able to sniff around, they are able to sense, they are able to feel what happens, and also go as far as taking challenges of doing some investigative communication and journalism, because it's just going to be the everyday news item, which sometimes you just close your eyes because you know what is going to follow. Then they also need to train in investigative journalism so that they are able to dig out things that will help our society. You need to dare it. You need to be strong. I know it's sometimes challenging, but I want to encourage women in the media to go out and dig, and also women in leadership to be there and also be accessible. As you raised it earlier, maybe some journalists complain, really, maybe others don't want. I don't want to defend people, but we also have to be open. When we get that opportunity, we need to make use of it, and we should not belittle our young journalists who are budding, who are learning. Let them come there and experiment on us, but at the end of the day, the message will go out. So it is through media, the electronic media, the traditional ones, radio and television, but also we need to go on social media and even reform and improve social media, plus also any other outlet that can carry our message out for the sake of building ourselves and building our nation. We should
Yes.
make use of that and be able to build our nation by the use of the fourth estate, which is media.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Honorable Angela Ochero, the statement from Nyaman Jok, she states that she's from Upper Nile State, you know, when she mentioned about her county, how the women are saying that it's not time for women to be a county commissioner. So she's from Upper Nile State. And
Okay.
then, yeah, and then we're going to conclude shortly. So if you could, our panelists, if you could take 1 minute to answer this question, which will be greatly appreciated. The question is from Brother Sebet Aban, and he says, former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who's a female, saved the country of Liberia from the massacres carried out by Charles Taylor, who's the former president of Liberia. Instead of talking about the 25 to 30%, why not aspire to lead the nation to save the country and save women's rights in South Sudan? So any of you could go ahead and take the question. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, hello? Yes.
Yeah, if the question is why are we not, as women of South Sudan, did I get it right that it's like we are not aspiring to lead the country?
Yes. Why not, instead of just going ahead and aspiring for the 25 to 30% parliamentarian seats, being part of the legislature, or just at the lower state level, why not choose to become the president?
Well, I think leadership itself is not an event, it is a progress. It is not a, so I think women of South Sudan are on the right track, because if you can look at our nation where we started with the 25%, and in few years now we are 35. And in terms of also the leadership positions and where decisions are made, seeing us always placed in the Ministry of Gender and those soft ministries, although they are very important also, if they were actually given also to men, they would have seen that there are ministries like the Ministry of Gender is very important. It's not a soft ministry as we think that it's a position for women, but it's just only because they used to be given to men. And I have one of my colleagues who was assigned to Ministry of Gender in one of the states, and when I asked him, how are you doing? He said, well, I'm given a seat, Kursita Nuswande, you see. So, but if we change this this mindset that certain posts are only for women, then we will experience the difference. And I think now we are on the right track, because we are seeing now women in the docket of the foreign affairs, in the defense, and we want to see also women in the finance. So definitely, I'm not seeing any obstacles that women of South Sudan one day can lead, even being the presidents of the Republic of South Sudan. But it is a process, and it is a progress also, where we want to be ready. And I know from the women leaders that we have, I know that women of South Sudan, we can definitely lead the country. But it is a progress, and it is a process itself. It's not just an event that it should happen today.
Thank you. Thank you.
When I come in on that, Eunice, very quickly.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just very quickly, I just want to support what Honorable Mary said and thank the person who asked that question. There is no reason why some of us cannot lead a country. I think what we've done already so far is enough for us to be heads of some of these states. But as she said, you know, you don't wake up in the morning and say, look, there must be a female head of state in that country. It is the environment itself, it's the aspiration of the people. Today, the US, for the first time, that mighty country, for the first time, is having a vice president, female. And I don't remember even any head of any president in the United States of America. But for South Sudan, we've reached now, we have the vice president, that's Madam Nyande Garam. And as the listeners were following, those hosts of female leaders in various positions, as Mary said, defense, foreign affairs, and telecommunications, and the rest, I think we are already qualified to be presidents of our country. And we can do it whenever we aspire for it and when we want. I just want to clarify to the person who commented, the 35% is not for us to hide down there in a small percentage. By the way, the 35% is a minimum, that is number one, minimum representation. Number two is an opportunity for those who may not be able to reach this level we have, that they also have an opportunity. So you cleverly and strategically do it so that you give a chance to other women to come in and young people to come in. But as for some of us, we are already right enough to lead our country anytime, and we are ready to do that. But it's when you want it, when you desire it, and when you are ready for it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
I want to add what Mama Rebecca and Mama Mary said. Leadership is a journey. It is not a one-day mission. It is like raising a child. You cannot give birth today and the child can grow to a big man today. For us, women of South Sudan, we are on the track and we shall reach that point. We are on the right track. It is a journey. It is a long journey. If we cannot accomplish it today, the coming generation will reach that level. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have one more last question referring to the same topic. It's from Brother Kon Maiguena Chong, and he asks, if the country decided to propose the woman to the position of presidency, will it be possible for you or women to lead the country?
Definitely, yes.
Yes, why not? And we are in leadership positions. For example, in the Council of State, maybe currently I'm among the young members in the council, but I've been for 4 months now acting as the acting speaker, and everyone, including the men themselves, they are appreciating, and they don't just acknowledge the way I'm performing my duties as an acting speaker, but also they are testing that yes, then women can do it. So I always feel proud when this is also a testimony given by men that we trust that women of South Sudan can do something, and I know that we have great women definitely who can lead.
Thank you.
We definitely we will not lead only as women, as I say, not from a feeling of sympathy that we need a women there, but being the women and the leaders themselves and the people of South Sudan to have the empathy that women, yes, can do it in that position, not just because as women, but as full human being with full dignity and capability, responsibility to lead the country, not just because of their gender.
Yes.
Yes.
We cannot hear you.
I just want to say that it's possible. And as I said earlier, and my colleagues have said, I mean, there's nothing else we want to go through for us to become heads of state. We are already there. But we also have systems that we use. I come from a party where I respect the party line. And when it's time for elections, also you don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to be president. When there are elections, you can go there and vie for presidency, and you respect the leadership, you respect the party system. Because if you don't work also within your system, you will find yourself on the odd unless you are not a member of a political party. But for the capacity and the ability, I think we are ripe enough to lead our country anytime possible. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we have Yedisi Basanong. I cannot pronounce the last name, but it's, I believe, Hussein. He's watching from Juba. And then we have Lucy Jua, who says that women need to support one another for better leadership. We are concluding now our discussion for today. We have dealt with an important topic. Our topic for today was South Sudanese women in leadership and decision-making, roles, performance, and barriers. And also, the South Sudan Women Intellectual Forum would like to thank the panelists for contributing their wealth of knowledge and expertise to this important topic, which is affecting many of our members in our community, particularly our women. We would also like to thank our South Sudanese ladies and community members who have taken their time to watch and contribute to this discussion. Last but not least, thank you to UN Women for their partnership. Dear viewers, please join us next time on the South Sudan Women Intellectuals Forum as we continue to learn, empower each other, and improve our community together. Thank you.
Thank you.